You know, well, there's a classic Vedic pranayam called Shitali, which is a cooling breath. And what are we cooling? Well, you can cool the body and you can cool the mind as well. If you've got a busy, ferocious mind, you can cool the mind with it. It can also quieten hunger and thirst. So, I remember one time I was on a trip somewhere and I didn't have any food or water with me. Mistake, maybe. But it was a complex trip and there were storms and there were trees pulled down and it took hours and hours and hours for me to get back home. And I was extremely thirsty and extremely hungry. And so I practiced this breath. And I got home feeling relaxed, easy, effortless, and the hunger and the thirst had gone. So when I did drink and eat, it wasn't from a difficult place. I was feeling good. So it worked for me on that instance, and you can check it out. Now, one needs to be aware of teaching these practices to people. If somebody has issues with, say, for example, some kind of eating disorder where they don't eat because of a variety of issues, then this might not be a good practice to teach somebody, because they could use it then to make their situation worse. So all these practices need to be taught with caution and intelligence. And there is a warning in some of the yoga texts that practices taught prematurely, including practices breathing through the mouth, will damage the nervous system. So these practices, like I say, need to be taught systematically, well, and with caution, in the appropriate time, in the appropriate way to the appropriate person. And if you're going to be a teacher of these practices, first you have to embody them, and then you teach them wisely and take responsibility for the teaching. So this is Shitali. There are two ways of doing this, and it depends on the capacity of your tongue, whether you can curl the tongue like this, and some people can't genetically, in which case you can rest the tongue flat. But either way, on this one again, your mouth breathing, and your mouth breathing in through the mouth very, very slowly, and out through the nose. So you can be breathing in, your lips are very slightly puckered. Then you're taking 20 to 30 seconds to breathe in. Really slow inhale. It's almost like breathing in sips. And then a nose out breath. Again, you have the tongue flat or curled if you can, so you can sip through the tongue. So you can do it like this. So practice how you choose. I prefer a flat tongue actually, even though I can curl my tongue. So that's Shitali, the cooling breath. And you can practice that, give it a good go, play with it, explore it. Like I said, I've put it into practice. I don't use it very often. If I want to do a cooling breath, I tend to do the drop, which is a 90-10 I told you about. So I tend to do that one, which is 10% through the mouth, which I find effective. But that's a breath for you, Shitali. Okay, and we're going to go on with that in part 2 in a moment. So for this practice, we're going to be breathing in through the mouth, as we have done. And you can curl the tongue if that feels good. Pucker your lips very slightly. But the breath is, and again, I tend to keep my tongue flat in this. I prefer that. But you'll be breathing in through the mouth, like sipping through the mouth. And you're going to be breathing out through the nose. Now we're going to add into this one the Shabda Brahman, the sounds, and we're going to use the Kundalini mantra, Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma. And we're going to do at least 8 sounds, then 2 times that round on the inhale. So it's going to go Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma on the inhale, and Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma on the exhale. That's slightly staccato sort of sound. In through the mouth, out through the nose. So try this with me. We'll do it together for a little bit, okay? Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. And the tongue might move when you're doing that on the inhale, it's fine. Yeah, and on the out breath again, sa, ta, through the nose, sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Okay, let's do it together. Now I find that a very profound practice. It's a very beautiful practice, and we've only done a couple of minutes, you know. And when you do this practice, you can do it in rounds of either 3 minutes total, 9 minutes, put a little gong on or something like that, chimer, timer, 3 minutes, 9 minutes, or 27 minutes, or 3, 6, 9, and 27 would work well. Okay, so 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, or 27 minutes, depending on what you want to do. And you can get great benefit from this practice, this cooling practice. If it's really easy, and that felt really easy to me, and beautiful and easy, you could extend to 3 rounds of the Satanama on the inhale. So if you want to try that, let's try that for a couple of minutes. I find that takes me very deep very quickly. I can quite easily get 4 rounds of that on the inhale and 4 rounds on the exhale. So it's sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma for an inhale, and the same for an exhale. We don't want to rush the sound, so don't get more by rushing. You stay in the same kind of pace, steady pace, of that one sound per second. So it's sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma, sa, that kind of rhythm. Nice heartbeat rhythm. Excellent. So those are the cooling breaths. Those are 2 cooling breaths you can play with and explore. Thank you.